Welcome back to another episode of Necessary Measures. I'm so excited about this episode. I think it's going to help a lot of parents right now, especially dealing with virtual learning. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, parents, this is an episode that I think will be super helpful for you if you find yourself, like me, doing any type of homeschooling and still want to have some type of connection with your kids and differentiating the roles. I think this episode will be great for you. This is the episode dedicated to preparing for virtual learning. Might be something that you've seen yourself doing before, or it might be something like it was for me where it is completely brand new, but I have 10 tips that is going to help you during this time. So let's start with tip number 1. Okay, so preparing for virtual learning, the first thing that you should keep in mind is have a dedicated workspace. What I found during this summer when I was homeschooling our 4 kids was I actually asked them for their input of what room in the house, what area did they feel that would be best for their work session. Now, I had some caveats with that. It could not be in their playroom, because I wanted them to know the difference between, when it was time to focus and when it was time to, have their choices, have their free time. So I definitely did not want it to be in their playroom, and they did try, but after just explaining, hey, your play area should be an area where you always can go to play and not mix it up with work. Is it work time or is it play time? They understood. So we settled on our family dining room, which is a room that we typically only use for like the holidays and big gatherings. So I transformed. Oh, my dog wants to come in. Let me go get her. Okay, so getting back into it, my dog is now safely inside, and hopefully she will allow me to finish this video. But we settled on our dining room, which is an area that typically we only use for larger family gatherings and holidays. And since that's not happening right now or anytime soon, we decided to transform the dining room into their work session area. And so for the little ones, I put up posters. My son, who is a 2nd grader, has his space over on the other side of the room with the globe and his papers, setups, and folders, and everything like that. So having a dedicated working space is going to make all the difference. Tip number 2 for preparing for virtual learning, which will also help better your connections with your kids, because there's going to be a line that has to be drawn, a boundary between mom and teacher. So tip number 2 is that routines are crucial. Just like if your kids were in school during this time, there's a time for them to wake up and get dressed and have breakfast and have lunch and go play outside or have their free time if it's raining. So keep that same energy or schedule or routine when you are preparing to do virtual learning. So that is going to help them also be able to, focus, know what's next. And also it will help you, because as they're, virtually learning, hopefully they have, teachers that are supporting them in the process and has, the flow of the day set up. But routines during this time, especially because we're not sure how long virtual learning is going to go on, routines are going to be so important. And it's okay if you get off track some days. Just pick it back up the next. Try not to make it a habit of, always, having your student be tardy or always waking up late. It'll just help to set their mood, set your mood for the day to have a successful virtual experience. Okay, so this kind of flows into tip number 3, which is to try your hardest to stay on schedule. Because just like if they were actually in school, if they're late, they're missing things. And when you get off schedule, it can be hard to, bounce back. I think that lunchtime is the perfect example. In a typical school building, classes have dedicated times to show up to the lunchroom, and then they have about 30 minutes to, sit and eat their food. And if one class is late, that actually backs it up for all the rest of the class. And so with your virtual learning, I'm sure that teachers are giving, breaks for lunch and whatnot. And so just trying to stay on schedule so that when lunchtime is over and they have to get back to their learning, they're able to do so with a clear mind now. They've had some food in their system and they're able to get right back focused and make their learning experience flow for remainder of their day. Tip number 4 when preparing for virtual learning is to have all the supplies ready, and I'll even take that one step further and say they should also be accessible to your student for independent use, so that they're not always needing to ask you for, scissors or paper or pencils or glue. Just have it in an area. So for us, because we have 4 different age levels, right, spanning from 1 to 7, I had, the things that the little ones couldn't or shouldn't get into, glue, was set up high, but it was high enough so that our 7-year-old could reach it when he needed to without having to interrupt mommy when I was working with the younger siblings. So just having those supplies ready, if you know or can see the syllabus or the schedule and you know that a ruler and a compass is going to be needed, just kind of laying those things out at the beginning of the week or early in the day so that they're able to use the materials, know where they are. That's important as well. Having a space for everything, to know where they are, and so that they can be able to access it when they need to. And so that's very helpful. So moving right along, tip number 5 to help you with preparing for virtual learning is going to be to remember to give brain breaks. Now, I'm talking to 2 types of parents here during these times that we're in. On one hand, I'm talking to the parent that's actually doing the homeschooling, so you're in the role of teacher and mom and lunch lady and all that, but remembering to give brain breaks. Kids aren't like adults. They can't just focus on something long term. Actually, I can't even focus on something long term. So just allowing them, 5 minutes of, transitioning or restroom breaks, or just breaking out, drop everything, singing a song, just kind of giving their minds a chance to kind of naturally take a break, and unnaturally too. You might just say, hey, mommy needs 15 minutes, okay? Your brain breaks, their brain breaks, it's important, and it's going to help to keep them refreshed and limit the frustrations during this time. And then on the other hand, I'm talking to the parents that are aiding in their child's virtual learning, where the teacher is on the Zoom call and just allowing them in between some transitions to, hey, do you need a drink of water? Go ahead and grab you a drink of water real quick, and keep the volume up so that they can still hear the instruction. But just allowing for brain breaks is going to be very important. Also, if you can get them outside during those brain breaks, that's really good. Get some of that vitamin D in their system, because I know that we're spending a lot of time indoors learning. It can be stressful, so just keep in mind brain breaks are very helpful. Remember, if you are liking what you are seeing and learning, please hit the subscribe button below, turn on your notifications so that you can be notified when videos drop just like this. Okay, so tip number 6 for prepping for virtual learning is going to be to set an agenda. Again, talking to both the homeschooling parent as well as the parent that's aiding in virtual learning, you want to set the intentions for your student be it for the day. Daily would be great, so that they can kind of know what the flow is going to be, but also, for the week. I'm hoping that, as teachers are navigating during this time as well, they're helping to prepare the students and prep the parents for what's expected, of that week. Any themes that they're talking about. If it's the younger kids, are you guys talking about transportation that week? And just, sitting down with your child and saying, hey, we're gonna learn some really cool things about transportation this week. What are some things that you're looking forward to? Do you know what types of transportations they are? And just really getting their mind ready and prepared for what's ahead will help them. They also look forward to that. Over the summer, the little ones had a theme on healthy eating. And so I kind of talked to them. I know that they're 1, 2, and 3 years old, but still, it is very helpful. I talked to them, hey, we're gonna be learning about different types of foods this week, and actually Mommy's gonna ask your help for, collecting some of the food from our kitchen during our lesson so that you guys can see, feel, touch, smell what that fruit or that vegetable is like. And they really looked forward to it. Even my 7-year-old, hey, this week you're gonna be doing, it's gonna be heavy on math this week, buddy. And we're gonna be using a ruler this week. Here's where it's gonna be placed for, when I say I need you to go get the ruler, here's where it's gonna be placed. You'll know exactly where it is. And it just kind of gets their mind ready and prepared. And also for me, it was super helpful for me. I think more so because I knew what to expect, and I knew, okay, I need to do a little bit more research on that theory, or because this Montessori learning, homeschooling was so new to me. I felt like I was learning with Chase, but it was a great bonding experience. And I also saw things that, he needed to work on naturally. And again, setting the agenda also helped prepare me for things that I might have needed to research before, giving him the lesson and brushing up on my skills, because I've been out of the classroom for a few years now. So it helps them and it helps me. Okay, tip number 7 is to ask for input and opinions. This is all very new to us, and so just like the kids are getting used to virtual learning, so are we. And so some weeks are gonna be better than others, but you know what? It is what it is. Just, ask for their feedback, ask for their opinion, what they think went well, what they think they wanted, more of, and just, see what they say and try to develop plans and move forward from there. That's all you can do. Tip number 8 for preparing for virtual learning is to remember patience and practice. This is all new to us, and we've got to get used to it, right? Even some of the school districts that decided to go virtual learning are realizing that, hey, our technology isn't up to speed, and the links didn't work, and a slew of other, technical difficulties and issues. But just have some patience, get some practice in every week. I'm sure you're just going to get better and better, and just readjust and keep moving forward. Tip number 9 is learning does not only have to occur in the work session area. Perfect example. Camera died, please forgive me. Okay, so perfect example for tip number 9, which is learning does not have to only occur at the work session area or in the work session area. Perfect example is if you have taken up gardening during this quarantine, and maybe you're like me where it's completely new to you and you're kind of learning about, optimizing your soil and where to place it for the best sunlight, and harvesting and the different crops that'll grow well in the garden and the timeline and all that. That's wonderful learning experience for kids, and they're getting so much, vocabulary building and experience and memories, and that hands-on learning. It's going to be something that you can't get, virtually on a screen or, at a table. So just kind of keep that in mind as you are preparing for virtual learning, is getting back to the basics in terms of keeping in mind that learning occurs all day, every day, all around them. Even folding clothes, like those are fine motor skills that are gonna help with pencil grip and handwriting. I mean, put them kids to work around the house. Don't you bear all that weight. So keep that in mind. And finally, tip number 10, I know this might go without saying, but I'm gonna say it, is to build on your students' interest. If they are into dinosaurs, for example, and build in ways to incorporate that into their learning. Fossil study, different types of rocks, books. The National Geographic channel, as well as their website, has so many resources that actually might really interest someone who's really into, dinosaurs and things like that. So playing to their interest gets them invested, right? So when you care more about something, you're more likely to pay attention and to retain that knowledge. And so, just try to find ways to incorporate that while also building and speaking to, their weakness. If they're really not good in math, but they're into dinosaurs, I mean, come on, let's do a timeline. Let's talk about how many years ago that was, adding, subtracting how many years ago that was, and addition, and I mean, there's a slew of resources online and available. They would get a kick out of making their own fossils. I mean, those are things that really enhance their experience, and they're not just in front of a screen all day hearing the information, because we only retain so little of what we hear. It's about, doing, and if they're interested into the lesson and the study, they're more likely to enjoy the experience and also retain the knowledge. So thank you so much for watching another episode. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified when videos drop just like this one. See you next time.